this case, for the sake of balance in faith, we have to fight for that. Again, like I've always said, every Christian who is angry out there, you have the right to be angry. However, like they say it's in Pidgin English. Let me use Pidgin English so you understand. They say, I weigh the Christ did a zero. So in as much as we're angry, we have to be able to understand why did Asiwaju choose his running mate, Shetima. I began to ask questions. I began to understand his person. Now, first of all, this man is not a religious bigot, because one of the reason Christians are concerned is the myth that has been going on that they're trying to Islamize Nigeria. So we needed to find out, is this what this man wants to do? I discovered this man is not that person. This is just a political calculation that he needed to pick somebody of this faith to be able to conquer and win this election. So if that be the case, then there's nothing for us to be afraid of. What I've been saying to the believers is, we cannot just leave APC. APC is not a Muslim party. We have governors who are Christians. We have senators who are Christians. So this is not about just leaving the party or leaving the candidate. Since you want to win this election, and this is how the mathematical calculation you have come up with, we're going to support you. What then do we get? Maybe we start placing our offer, making demands. Let the next SGF be a Christian. Let the next Senate president be a Christian. This we can do instead of just running away. For me, the moment I knew that this is not a man who wants to turn Nigeria to become an Islamic nation, when I sat with him on the 22nd of September, that's what I asked him. Sir, is this what your plan is? I remember what he said to me. Have I Islamized my home? His wife is a pastor. The children are pastor. So the children are Christians. So this is not about Islamizing a country, trying to Islamize Nigeria. This is just about the political calculation. So what we as Christians need to do now, don't use, if you're not supporting Asiwaju for many other reasons, I understand, but let it not be that because of he's a Muslim or because he chose Shetima. Let's come up now and discuss. I'm glad you can met with him. Let's play demands. Let's begin to, ask for other things that will balance in his administration. So as soon as I got that, as soon as that was made clear to me, I had to jump on board and support him.
But some people don't actually agree with you, and one of those persons is the former speaker, Dogara, who, of course, the news was yesterday that he and some other northern leaders from the Christian Forum had supported Atiku Abubakar. Dogara is, of course, of APC, and some leaders in that particular forum are also of APC. How do you react to that?
This is the beauty of democracy. If everybody agrees with everybody, there will not be a need for election. And anytime there's an election, people always come up with things to say. Just the same way when we were going to the primaries, many of us had so much to say. But they may have their reasons. Like I said, every Christian who is angry out there, I do understand, how they feel. But if only they can take the time to look and consider, is this man trying to Islamize Nigeria? If the answer is no, I think the first case is settled. Now we have to be able to come on the table and be able to make demands, to ask questions. That's what I did. And as soon as I was clear with that, I had to put that aside and forge ahead. It's not just about religion when it comes to an election. There are so many things on board. Insecurity is plaguing the nation. Let me make this clear. One of the reasons I'm passionate about Asiwaju is because Nigeria needs a bold president. I don't know about you. For me, Nicholas Felix, I need my next president to be very bold, a bold man, a man who will take some critical decision to service this nation. And I see that man as Asiwaju. He's a very bold man. He's not a man that will sometimes we want to please everybody to do what is right. That's what we need now. We don't need a president who can put out a tweet and because somebody is angry, you go and delete a tweet. When actually what you said was right, was the correct thing to do. We need somebody who is going to speak the truth, who is going to be bold and say, this is what is right. You may not be happy about it, and that's that man. So let the issue of religion not be only, my saying is not important, it is important. As Christians are agitated, Christians are angry, and that's why we're telling them, ask questions, find out, is this about Islamizing a nation? Number two, constitutionally, it is impossible to Islamize or Christianize Nigeria. By constitution, you can't even do that. And when you look at the number, we're almost like 50%. So it is absolutely impossible. And it will be insane for any president, anyone to think they can Islamize Nigeria. So let's just keep that aside. let's focus on the issue. Nigeria needs to be safe. You go to countries that are not even considered Christian nation, they are safe. We want to be safe as Christians and even as Muslims. So let's start focusing on the issue at hand and not just use religion to cover all. Again, to the Christians who are angry out there, you have every right to feel the way you feel. But let's come on the table and begin to discuss. Don't forget this parable I just said. They say the eyes that cry, the eyes that shed tears also see. While we are sharing tears, let's open our eyes and not be carried away and let people just deceive us into this Muslim and Muslim thing.
Okay, so talking about issues, my producer is going to help me put up these statistics up for you to see. Nigeria currently sits, the unemployment rate currently sits at 33% in 2022. And looking at the manifesto of the APC, the Renewed Hope, trying to say they are going to create 3 million jobs a year. Nigerians said in 2015, when this administration was going to come in, there were a lot of promises that were made. Some, of course, Nigerians said, were not met. How do you want Nigerians to trust your party this time around, knowing that the 2023 general election, the presidential election, is very critical?
Yes, true. This election is very, very critical. It's a very crucial election, and I'm glad everybody is paying attention to it and participating. Now, first of all, let's clarify something. Yes, it's APC. Yes, we're all members of APC. But we cannot forget that a new administration is coming in. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not President Muhammadu Buhari. Asiwaju is going to come on becoming the head of the leader of the party. He's going to have his own team, his own administration. Things are going to change. To think that we are going to get exactly the same thing we got in the first term, it's not going to be like that. Yes, this administration succeeded in some areas and probably didn't do well in other areas. That's where Asiwaju administration is going to look at. What area did you do well so we can continue? And the area they may have not done very well to be able to improve. So in as much as it's the same party, we cannot forget that a new administration is coming on board. A man with a different idea, a man with a different manifesto, a man with different history is coming on board. In terms of creating unemployment, if you read the manifesto very well, and with his track record and with what he did in Lagos, I try as much as possible not to focus on that so much for several personal reasons. One way you create employment is not just the government, it's creating an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive. And that's one thing I've heard him emphasize so much, talking about giving loans to people, talking about creating a credit system. This is actually the way America operates. And you see people, somebody will say, I have 2 houses, I bought a car. It's not just because they earn so much money. You are able to have the credit system. So when I look at his manifesto, I look at what he's putting on ground, I can confidently say what is there is something that is achievable. It's not just speaking just as a politician. You want to create 3 million jobs in a year. How are you going to do it? By creating enabling environment. When businesses get loans, when people get loans, they will buy cars. When people get loans, the credit system, they'll build houses where they rent and make money. You have to create an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive. Anyone without such manifesto who is just throwing number out there, I'll create 10 million jobs, without the prerequisite, without the foundation of how the private sector will be able to thrive, they're going to lie, because the government cannot just hire people because they want to reduce unemployment. So it is this principle of the credit system, how to make it easy for businesses to thrive in the nation. That's why you're going to see the economy begin to thrive. Every great economy must have not just higher class, but middle class. Until we put system in place where the middle class, Nigerians who are in the lower class now begin to move to the middle class, we won't see the economy grow. And these are some of the things you read in his manifesto.
Okay, another point that I like us to look at while we're rounding up the show is the issue of security. It's been on the front burner of this administration. Remember when President Muhammadu Buhari was coming in, there are 4 cardinal points that he made mention: corruption, security, economy, and the rest. And of course, the issue of security has been a very, very critical one, looking at the different agitations from the different parts of the country, and your candidate has been going to these different parts of the country. He was in Imo State to meet with the stakeholders there, and I can, was on the news that they donated a huge amount of money for him, 1 billion, which is of course a part of the country in the southeast where they said it might not be able to go. Due to some, some things that are brewing up in that part of the country, how do you think that your candidate can be able to sit down and have the discussion, of these different agitations from every part of the country?
Now, when we speak about insecurity in the land, I'm glad you're asking the question. If you have ever listened to me in my campaigns or every time I speak, you know this is one topic that's very dear to me. And I was so excited looking at the manifesto that our candidate made it #1, which is supposed to be #1. He talked about the insecurity in the land, how they're going to fight insecurity. And I've actually taken time to read that aspect of his manifesto just to make sure there are things that are perfect in it. And I can see many of the things that some of us already have as an idea already in that manifesto. When you look at the Southeast and you look at the Northeast and practically look at every state, every zone, every region in Nigeria, you discover insecurity play. So it's not just the issue of the Southeast. Even in the Northwest, the Northeast, there are insecurity. It is one problem and we have to fight it. How do we fight it? Apart from sitting down, discussing with some of this agitation, but when you go to the North, there are not people you can sit down. We don't sit down with terrorists to negotiate. We need to fight them. We need to let them know that Nigeria cannot negotiate with terrorists. How are we going to do that? We have to empower our police officers. I was reading the manifesto even yesterday, reading the area of security. He talked about the welfare of the police officers. There was one thing he also mentioned there that which I was very excited about. Our fallen heroes need to be appreciated. Nigerians don't know how to appreciate police officers when they die in the line of duty. He mentioned it there. I was so glad to see it. So we must focus on the little things in the police force and be able to, #1, get more police officers, get better equipment. He talked about technology. We can't be doing things now. Our police officers don't have walkie-talkies on the street. When even businesses do, we have to be able to increase technologically, give them better cars. You see our police officers, the cars they use today, they are not even roadworthy. They shouldn't even be on the road. He talked about all of this. So the issue of insecurity just in the Northeast, yes, there's agitation there. I'm believing that as soon as he comes in as president, he'll be able to address that. But that's not all that there is. There is terrorism all over the place, kidnapping, and we need to fight this. And I believe, again, don't forget what I said. We need a bold man as president of this country that will take some bold step, bold decision in fighting the insecurity in this land. And I see that man as Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Lastly, I'm going to ask you what's your take in terms of education. Education is the bedrock of a nation, and Nigeria is really, really behind in terms of education. What do you think that should be done? Yes, your candidate has laid so much emphasis on how technology will be driven through education, but how do you think we can best achieve this, knowing fully well that the 2023 general election is not just for rhetorics, it's actual work?
I think, in my opinion, and based on the manifesto, education needs to really be revamped, our education system. First of all, we're already below the required amount in terms of the national budget that should be allocated to education. But the major thing, there are so many loopholes. By the time budgets are allocated to education, I don't even think 1% gets to the schools. Because when you look at the billions that are allocated every year, you wonder how come our infrastructure in our schools, universities, they are all dilapidated. No new structures are being built. It's because there are so many blockades, so many loopholes, before so many toll gates. This is some of the things Asiwaju is going to address and make sure whatever is allocated to educations are given to them. And also the issue of strike. They just finished about 9-month strike. There needs to be a standard whereby the schools, the lecturers, the university are taken care of to avoid this issue of strike. And again, the curriculum needs to be looked into. Nigerians are very smart. Are you aware that blacks, when you're thinking about blacks in America, Nigerians are the most educated. God has blessed us in this nation with brains, with strength, with wisdom. But the education system may look as if you are programmed to already fail. So that is going to be looked into. But most importantly, the resources that are located to our education system, we need to be able to take out all the toll gates. These are some of the things that are going to help improve the education in this country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nicholas Felix, Dr. Nicholas Felix, rather, the Deputy National Coordinator of the APC's Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
And that's all we have for you today on Standpoint. Join us, watch the repeat by 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. tomorrow morning as we'll bring you all the things that have happened in the world of politics. And bye for now.
It's not your regular show. It's an online interactive session where I will share my views on the everyday issues that cut across politics, security, health, current affairs, governance, and so much more. I am passionate about our country. I choose to support any conversation geared towards building a better Nigeria.